Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live, talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynn@pghcitypaper.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
And welcome to the program. It is the 15th of December. 2017 is on its last legs. Good riddance. Problem is, after it comes 2018, which is promising to be every bit as horrific, or certainly consequential, or certainly mind-blowing. Don't know. Anyway, talking about what's going on is what we usually do here. It's weird because yesterday evening I was deep in thought about exactly what purpose this program has. It's changed over time, and I'm suggesting I'm going back to like talk radio years when I was doing 3 hours a day, and to this 1 hour on the internet. But I'm not always certain what purpose this program serves. I know that I have been throughout its tenure, whatever this is, of saying that this is basically an entertainment show. That's to separate it from news, from journalism. It is not. It is way too biased and opinionated to be considered as journalism. But journalism is sort of at the base of it. It's where I get the fodder for our discussions. I just started asking myself, what is it you're doing? And, I don't know. I think, what is this hour? I think in these times it's come to be, for many people, probably and I hate this term, but I think that's what it is, a safe place. Where we won't get triggered too much, where we will hear like-minded voices and be in general agreement. Our emotional states usually pretty much aligned. So I think it has that aspect. I'm not wild about that aspect, but I can see the need that many of us have to feel we're not alone in these times. And in that regard, I think maybe we should just retitle the show and call it Misery Loves Company. Because I think that's part of it too. We're freaked out. That's back to the safe place. And it's sort of like group therapy sometimes, I think. I can leave here feeling better or worse, depending on input from you or wherever the conversation leads us. I don't know. I mean, ideally, I would like this program to be informative. That's why I scour all the media outlets I do. I cringe at the thought that I am a purveyor of falsehoods, and I don't think I am when I have been shown to have said or repeated something that was factually incorrect. I've been quick to, I think, correct it, and that is my journalism background. Maybe this program is to be cathartic. I don't know. And my greatest joy in life is none of the above. My greatest joy is entertaining. I guess I did start with this as entertainment. So I'm quick to want to laugh. There's nothing very funny going on right now, but in as much as I can extract humor from it, I would like to do it. I also like to think that I am an honest broker of my own opinion, so that what I say is what I'm thinking. Many times you guys have pushed back at things I have said, and I've given you the argument. I mean, said, yes, you're right. I was wrong. I like that aspect of it, growing in my understanding. And I just don't know. I feel, when some of you say, oh, Lynn, you've got to be there for us. I don't know what that means anymore. It's wearing on me, as I've told you. But anyway, I don't know why I'm bringing this up, except that for some reason it was in my head last night and wouldn't exit. So I just wondering. It's odd to have done something for 30 plus years and now I'm saying, what is this? What is the point of this? I don't want to be a propaganda outlet. I liked it better when we heard different voices, when my program was not a safe place, but was a mosh pit of different points of view. And that is so long gone. It's ridiculous. And I, frankly, don't think that I'm capable of moderating a program such as that anymore. So hair trigger tempered am I about some of the issues that we talk about. So I don't know. As I've said before, I mean, every day there's 3, 4, 5, 6 consequential stories, realities, developments, red flags that as serious citizens we should be looking at, talking about. There's no way that we can keep track of it all now. And I think that leads to a level of stress for some of us that is pretty intense. So I just have need to let you know that this is harder than it's ever been. And in many respects, I'm more seasoned than I've ever been just by virtue of longevity. But things are very different. And as I said, if this is a safe place, if this is a place where you learn stuff that's going on, if this is a kind of group therapy, if this is instructive or even fun, not very much anymore, it is, I think, misery loves company. I'll tell you that. That I do think. So, that said, the FCC went and did what we knew it was going to do since last we talked, despite the fact that, as we were talking about yesterday, that a number of attorneys general were saying you can't do this yet. You don't have proper citizen input. We know that your comment section has been essentially hacked, perhaps criminally hacked, where people's emails have been used to send in their name positive comments about ending net neutrality that they do not agree with. The Wall Street Journal alone uncovered thousands of cases. But nothing stops these relentless, shameless Republicans now in power. Nothing. The only slightly good news I saw on the horizon was that their tax plan, as ugly a monstrosity masquerading as a bill that has ever been, is, as I think we were talking about this too yesterday, there is a chance it ain't gonna make it. If any of you believe in prayer, I'd be on your knees about 10 hours a day. The reasons I gave yesterday still hold, that you've got Corker already as a no. You have potentially John McCain unable, because he's dying, unable to vote. You also have another Republican senator who is apparently so sick that he doesn't even know how to get to his office anymore. That is Thad Cochran of Mississippi. And he has been hospitalized for one thing after another. I think they're embarrassed to have him come on the floor. I'm sure he'll be wheeled in some fashion if there's any way they can do it. You know, a question could also be raised with McCain and his brain being, well, I don't even want to go there, but at what point does somebody become so disabled in terms of their ability to think clearly that their vote should not necessarily be counted? I don't know what state he is in at this point. But the word that's going around is fragile, which is a euphemism, obviously. And I don't know. I think he's dying. I mean, we knew he was dying, but I think it's sooner rather than later is my guess. So, Rubio's little grandstand, that's bullshit, by the way. That's just to get something, extract something. Rubio's no one to stand up and keep this signature Republican piece from passage. Nor do I think is Mike Lee. So I don't know. It's as close as a vote can be, is my guess, down to a single vote. And if they give Rubio what he wants, that changes the math. And so they'd have to change something else, which might make another senator say, hey, wait a minute, I can't. So you don't know. When you don't create legislation in a sober, responsible manner, which is the case here, no public hearings, unbelievable. No public hearings, no opportunity for input by citizens. The only people who've had input into this monster are lobbyists. So this is corrupt Washington. This is the swamp at its most fetid, without a doubt. I saw news during the day that Speaker Ryan says he's probably out of the Congress after the 2018 elections. I bet he wants out. I bet he does. He's an abysmal failure as a speaker. He ain't having any fun anymore. He's been found out as not the brainiac that the Republicans were trying to pass him off as. And quite frankly, he could be defeated in 2018. So he might not have to resign from his speaker position. This guy who's running against him, Democrat, is, it's conceivable. Could knock him off. The folks of Janesville, Wisconsin could turn on their tarnished white knight. The president, hearing these rumors, called Ryan yesterday and said, I need you. I hope these are not true. I'm not happy with this. And according to the totally unreliable source of Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Mr. Ryan said to the president, the reports are false. I have no intention Resigning. Two pieces I read, both the Washington Post and the New York Times did pieces today on how evangelicals are, first of all, that is a very broad category. That's what the pieces are about. Evangelicals constitute people who consider themselves born again Christians who can come from any denomination, Christian denomination. So it's a panoply, but evangelical has come to mean support for Roy Moore. I mean, that's what there was nobody behind him more, or for that matter, Trump. If you're looking at a demographic, it is self-proclaimed evangelical Christians who are supporting these most unchristian men and their most unchristian policies. And so for the millions of evangelicals, people who describe themselves such, that are not racists, that try to live a true Christian life, the term has become toxic. And so there is actual conversation going on at some of the higher levels of some of the seminaries and some of the power centers of evangelical thought to break away, to stop using the title to define themselves because the title has been besmirched. So I mean, they're even kicking around terms. Here's one guy who edits a magazine, Christianity Today, and it is the flagship publication of American evangelicalism. Whatever. So this is the guy who's got the magazine that's at the top of it. And here are some quotes from him following, I guess, the election on Tuesday. No one will believe a word we say, perhaps for a generation. Christianity's integrity is severely tarnished. There are many, many evangelicals who are ready to disavow the label. There are a lot of young evangelicals, especially, who are disavowing their elders. There are Latino, Asian, Black, and Native American evangelicals who are outraged at their white brethren. And here is another prominent evangelical author, Beth Moore, writing on Twitter on Monday. We have let evil overtake the entire reputation of evangelicalism. The lust for power is nauseating, the racism appalling, the arrogance terrifying, the misogyny so far from Christ-likeness. It cannot be Christianity. Well, I'm glad to see this, because this Jew been looking on for some time and thought, what I understand about the teachings of Jesus, these guys are, I mean, they would have flunked a remedial class for dotards. I mean, they don't have a clue. What would Jesus do? He'd kick them all out. I'll tell you what he'd do. He'd excoriate them and send them packing. Don't besmirch my name, he would say. So they're looking for new names, so get ready. Get ready for starting to hear terms that you don't know. But what that term will be if they ever decide on one, like they're thinking of gospel Christian or neo-evangelical, who the hell knows? But they're millions of evangelicals who are sick to their stomachs at the likes of Franklin Graham and Jerry Falwell Jr. and all the others who have embraced Trump and embraced Moore, who are racists, bigots, and who wrap themselves in Christianity. So, that's a little good news, maybe. I don't know. Some frightening color-coded maps in the New York Times today. That one on top, which shows mostly a purple United States. Purple means, this is all about Republicans. These are polls of Republican voters. The purple means that Republicans in these areas, these states, overwhelmingly do not believe that global warming is caused by man. Look at that. You have to be percentage of Republicans who say that global warming is caused mostly by human activities. Oh, okay. So the purple are people who, Republicans who live in these states, who say, yeah, we humans are behind this. But the color purple means that fewer than 30% of them believe that. So 70% of Republicans across the country, all regions. And the purplest of purple are parts of Florida, Mississippi, and Texas. And I gotta say, how many friggin' floods do you guys need? How many super hurricanes, the likes of which have never been seen, do you guys need? How many encroaching oceans do you guys need to wake up? Apparently more. And then if you ask them even, is global climate change even happening? Let's not talk about who's responsible for it. About a whole bunch, close to 50%, are not willing to say it is. Scary, huh? All right, let's get to some emails. Chuck writes, this is about the purpose of this program. Thank you. Chuck writes, for me, this show is rare access to liberal commentary. It also is a sense of community. It also is a place where I can figure out how I feel and hone my own arguments. Yeah, I recognize that, all of that. He says, if I could make one suggestion, I always enjoy your guests, and perhaps you could do more of that. I greatly enjoyed Bill Peduto when you had him on. I think once you interviewed Rob Owen and Rob Rogers. Okay. You know, I'm a hog, I guess, because when I had a 3-hour show, I was not known for having guests. I'll try harder to do guests because I think, Chuck, I think most listeners agree with you on that. Kathleen says, your program is a meeting place like the local neighborhood coffee shop or bar. People drop in to hang out with like-minded people, discuss the events of the day, gossip some, and laugh a little. I don't know about other listeners, but I drop in to hear intelligent commentary and to feel that I'm not so alone in my worldview. Modern life is isolating. We don't intend for that to happen, but we're all busy and it's hard to find a place to just hang out. For heaven's sake, keep doing this awesome program. Don't you dare close our coffee shop. Okay. Well, I won't. Somebody else might, but I won't. I want you guys to remember that I am hooked up to an alternative weekly newspaper. And I don't know how much you pay attention to what's happening across the country to alternative weekly newspapers, but they're going down left, right, and center in cities bigger than ours, with publications that had a bigger heft. And I think they've gone down in Boston. I think Boston's lost it. I think Washington's alternative weekly's gone. LA's was just sold to a alt-right guy, I think. That's what's going to happen. There's not much money in it anymore. And so my fear is that I'm going to be silenced because this place is going to get sold or something. I'm probably not supposed to even say that, but I mean, you have to be deaf, dumb, and blind not to think that's a possibility. And because of that, I'm actually thinking I need to ask all of you to send me your emails. Just give me your emails so that if someday the coffee shop is closed, that I will be able to get in touch with you all when I find a new platform to reopen, because I'm sure I will try to do that. And so there is a sign-up form on my page. I have a page. Where everyone streams. Hey, right there on my page. Not that I ever look at it. Right there on my page, there is. They're asking for it. Well, that's cool. Okay, please. I mean, I was thinking of this the other day. Wow, I could just walk in here one day. It's happened to me before at radio stations. You walk in and it's over. Thanks, Carlo. Okay, so right at the bottom of my page, it says, sign up to receive updates about Lynn Cullen Live. Yeah, but this is City Paper asking for it. What if City Paper goes down? Well, I have the list. So. You have the list. Carlo here has the list. I have this list in my hot. You make sure you keep it, okay? I don't know. I'm not, paranoid. I'm just trying to be. Bob writes, you can now add ESPN's and Pittsburgh native John Buccigross. Is that how it's pronounced? This is how much I don't watch ESPN. John Buccigross to the ever-growing list of alleged celebrity sexual harassing lists. Okay. Well, that list is going to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow, as we well know. I was sent, if we can get serious. Well, I guess we have been serious, but if we can get seriouser, I was sent a piece by one of Yin's, and I don't know where it was published, if it ever was published, or if it's just online. It is written by a woman, a very smart woman, a very good writer. It is extremely long because she's trying to do something that we don't do very much anymore. She's trying to do nuance. And it's about the sexual harassment thing, the #MeToo moment. And, I got myself in some hot water by saying before something like, come on, sometimes the women. And because I really, and I think I've been pretty forthright about it. I've been forthright about how personally this has affected me. And believe me, I could be more personal. I'm not going to. I share a lot with you guys, but I'm keeping that one to myself. So, these stories all have a ring of truth to them. My problem has been in the sort of broad blanket from rapist to he touched my butt when we were taking a picture. I mean, that is very worrisome to me, given the penalty that is accruing to men accused of these crimes. And this woman, Claire Berlinski, writes a hell of a piece about beware the mob mentality, beware the moral panic that will pose as much danger to women in the end as to men. The overreach, the failure to define terms, the and the last time I said something, but I was pushed back and said, yeah, you might be right, but now's not the time for that. Now is the time to just let the women let it out. They've been silenced forever. And that argument made some sense to me, so I backed off. This woman's article has got me creeping back to say, but, which is what she does in this article. All of the things I remember saying about a month ago now, maybe. Are we killing the enjoyable art of flirtation? I think we are. Are we killing a sort of natural playfulness between the sexes? Are we, again, it's this zero tolerance sort of black-white thing that's going on right now that I never, ever, ever can be comfortable with. It doesn't matter what it's about. And anyone who's been listening to me blather on for years knows that's true. As soon as everybody is in the streets on something, I usually tend to start making for the exit. Not always, but often. I don't know how much of this I should share with you. She actually says that if you are reading this, she says, it means that I have found an outlet that has not just fired an editor for sexual harassment, because this article was circulated from publication to publication and was rejected repeatedly with, we can't print this. No, don't. I agree with you, but we're not doing this. Such is the fear now of the rage of women that an article from a woman saying, guys, I'm for jailing rapists and I'm for stopping sexual harassment, but there is a note of hysteria, here, that is making me really queasy, and men's lives are being destroyed. Women's lives have been destroyed for a long time, but men's lives based on the accusation of one woman. Their entire career can go down on the accusation of one woman. Now, if it's an accusation of rape, fine, but that's a criminal case. I am queasy about this. And if you can find this article, again, her name is Claire Berlinski, like Berlin with a ski on the end of it. I don't agree with absolutely everything she says, but wow, is it thought-provoking. And since that's another thing I like to do on my show is provoke thought, I recommend this to you. And maybe we can post. Oh, but if I post it, they'll come at me. I don't know. Yeah, let's get to the caller. Hello.
Hey, Lynn, it's Mike in D.C.
Hi, Mike.
So you provoked a thought for me that I had not even considered before, and that's A Handmaid's Tale. In that book and in that TV series, women are portrayed as being so helpless and not able to take care of themselves that their rights have been taken away.
Right.
And they become handmaidens or aunts or whatever.
Right. That's the danger. That's the danger of this.
Too.
Yes, yes. This
women
is the
can't protect themselves, so the guys will.
Right. Right. And the danger of this moment is that women are, again, even as they're this woman, I read this article, she's really brilliant. But we could sort of, because of this lack of nuance, go full circle to women are such fragile souls, right? That there can't be a Christmas party, there can't be you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't flirt. I don't want to live in a world where I can't flirt.
Or try to make someone laugh.
Or try to make someone laugh, and maybe not, as she points out, not all kisses from a man are about power. Some kisses from a man are about an invitation to courtship. They're a request. They're an initiation. And if they got it wrong, if they misread, that does not constitute sexual harassment necessarily. That's all I'm saying. It can if the guy's your boss. But everything is just being... I feel sorry right now. I'm starting to feel sorry for guys. How are they supposed to know how to even function around a woman? There's a whole area, this gray area that they'll be afraid to go into, which will put us in some kind of a place where our behavior is regulated. I don't want anyone regulating my behavior.
And that's Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah.
It was regulated. Everything was regulated because women are too powerless and can't say, get your hand off my ass.
Exactly. So rules had to be made. Well,
and the truth is, if a woman had the strength to do that, it would stop the men from putting their hands where they shouldn't, sometimes, and it would empower the woman to go even further and say, and take your hand off her ass, too.
Well, the thing is...
One of your callers complained that I said the men should stand up. We all should stand up.
Of course. We all should stand up. And the thing is that women, the society, we raise girls, and we sure did when I was a girl. I mean, I completely was raised in the other world where women were supposed to be barefoot and pregnant. And you were not raised with a sense of any power at all. So that even a seemingly strong woman like me felt absolutely powerless if around a man. I didn't feel I had any value at all to say what I wanted. I'd never been told I had any power. I'm not alone in that. I am not alone. And I'd been taught to be a pleaser. That's what women are supposed to be. And I am to this day a pleaser. I can't stand it when people are unhappy. If they look bored, I'll start doing a song and dance, anything. Everybody needs to be happy. And that I feel that responsibility. So this stuff is so complicated, and it's so complex, and it's different for every single woman and every single man, and that level of complexity is not being reflected in the way we are doing this big moment. There is no nuance at all. Scary. And you're hearing thoughtful voices starting to speak up. But just saying. Thank you.
Have you seen the Netflix or the Hulu Margaret Atwood Handmaid's Tale?
No, I have not.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I read
follows the book almost to the T.
Okay. I read the book, and I know it must be pretty good because of all the awards it got. Yeah.
This is a side note, but on that show they make them wear a habit that takes away their peripheral vision, which is an interesting concept, right? Because you have to have good elbows if there are going to be people fighting you, and you have to be able to see it. And I noticed that Melania Trump's hairstyle now does that. It makes it into like this habit. And I saw her picture yesterday, and I thought, how does she see to the left or the right of her? And maybe she doesn't want to see.
Yeah, I think her hairstyle also is a way of hiding herself, as that drape of hair is not only maybe keeping her peripheral vision down, but it's keeping our ability to see her down as well. I don't know. Hey, the big rumor out today, just reminded me of it by mentioning the Trumps. And I don't know if this is going to be true, but I'm seeing it whispered about, is that Jared Kushner could get indicted. Would that be big news or what?
I think that's how Mueller's getting his people to talk, is by saying, because if you went to prison, it'd be terrible, but you'd do anything to stop Sam from going to prison.
Right. Exactly.
So I think that's why they're going after those people, is by saying, look, you go to prison or your kid goes to prison, one of you are going to admit what you've done wrong.
Right.
And you go to prison for your kid.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe Trump wouldn't.
No, Trump would not.
Right. Flynn is.
Flynn will, yes.
Yeah. Because his kid, how does his kid get involved in this anyway?
I don't know. Well, it was a totally nepotistic operation. Everybody brought their kids in. Look at it, Betsy DeVos. We got her brother, Eric Prince. These people are all in the same cabal. It's a little group.
That's so stupid.
A little group of
so stupid.
Horrifying humans. Yeah. Well, thank you, as always.
Have a good weekend.
You too. Bye.
Bye.
I'll read you little snippets from this woman's work. Among us, it seems, lives a class of men who call to mind Caligula, not only in their depravity, but in their grotesque sense of impunity. Our debauched emperors, whether enthroned in Hollywood or media front offices or the halls of Congress, truly imagine their victims had no choice but to shut up, take it, and stay silent forever. And right there, absolutely agree. That is my experience. And in fact, they were pretty much right at the time. But then she says, but something is troubling me. We're in something like a classic moral panic, one that is ultimately as dangerous to women as to men. And then she talks about how no one would print this piece. And having read this piece, why no one would print it is beyond me. It's provocative. It's very well written. Media outlets are so fearful now because they might have harassers in their ranks. And then if they print something that says, but, some, and you could see that, them go down. People are fearful. Anytime that level of fear sets in, about saying what you really think, there's a problem. And there aren't many courageous people in the world. I'm finding that out. And so since most people don't have any courage, they go with the flow. They go where the mob is going. And the mob, made up of a lot of wonderful human beings, this mob, but it's still a mob. And that kind of groupthink always leads to trouble, if you ask me, and leads to a lot of cowardly action. And it leads to, as she says, we're not able to parse the difference between rape and stupidity. You know, like rape and a bad joke. I got news for you. They aren't the same thing. They're nowhere near the same thing. But in this moment, in our culture, which doesn't do no nuance, they pretty much are. And there is no unambiguous definition of the crime we're all talking about here. So she says this, and this is the kind of thing that will, make people queasy. The things that men and women naturally do, flirt, play, lewdly joke, desire, seduce, tease, now become harassment. If the description of whatever the act is then followed by the woman saying something like, I was humiliated. I was terrified. I froze. Now that could be after, as we said, some stupid joke, and she says, it doesn't matter how the man felt about it, what his stupid thoughts were. The onus to understand the interaction and its emotional subtleties falls entirely on the man now. But why? Perhaps the woman should have understood his behavior to be harmless, clumsy, maybe even sweet, but misdirected, tacky, but lacking in malice sufficient to cost him his job, his reputation. And that's what's happening now. And anyone who's not queasy seeing this is not, if it's rape, yeah. But if it's Al Franken, She says, in recent weeks, I have acquired new powers. You bet she has, so have I. I have cast my mind over the ways I could use them. I could now, on a whim, destroy the career of an Oxford professor who at a drunken Christmas party danced with me, grabbed a handful of my bum, and slurred, I've been dying to do this to you all term. That is what happened. I'm telling the truth. But here's the thing. When it happened, I did not freeze. When it happened, I was not terrified. I was actually amused. I want to kiss her for this. I want to kiss her for this. I was amused and flattered and thought little of it. I was a 20-year-old undergraduate. But wow, I had power over him. Sufficient power to cause this venerable man to make a perfect fool of himself at a Christmas party. And unsurprisingly, I loved having that power. But now I have the power to destroy someone like him. Someone like him whose teachings were invaluable to me and shaped my entire intellectual life, much for the better. Let me go on a little bit, okay? Over the course of my academic and professional career, many men who in some way held a position of power over me have made lewd jokes in my presence or reminisced drunkenly of past lovers or confessed sexual fantasies. They have hugged me, flirted with me, on occasion propositioned me. For the most part, this male attention has amused me and given me reason to look forward to otherwise dreary days at work. For a woman to be admitting this now, I love this. I dread the day, she says, that I would lose my power over men, which I have used to coax them to confide to me on the record secrets that they would never have told a male journalist. I did not feel demeaned by the realization that some men esteemed my cleavage more than my talent. I felt damn lucky to have enough talent to exploit my cleavage. This is a woman telling the truth of the subtleties of interaction, of women's power and of women's powerlessness. And I just am so grateful for somebody putting out into the conversation that when the professor took a handful of her butt, she was amused. She was not frightened. Now, is that because she and I are of a different generation? Maybe. I don't know. And she says, don't mistake me for a rape apologist. Harvey Weinstein stands credibly accused of rape. No civilized society tolerates rape. Many of the men whose professional reputations have recently been destroyed sure sound like they had it coming. But she says, I'm already convinced that Roy Moore is a sexual predator, and so is Bill Clinton. Neither my certainty nor anyone else's should be allowed to displace the law, however. I may be convinced, but I might also be mistaken. I am gratified that at least we all agree that a rapist or a serial groper of random women's genitals should be behind bars, not the Oval Office. But then this is her caveat. Revolutions against real injustice have a tendency to descend into paroxysms of vengeance that then descend upon guilty and innocent alike. We're getting close to this. Hysteria is in the air. Feels a little French revolutionist. And this revolution risks going the way revolutions so often do. And the consequences would be awful for all of us, men and women. NPR just got rid of somebody for what they called subtle transgressions. Now, see, what the fuck is that? I have a feeling, and you see where the guys are being tossed out. They're being tossed out on the left side because liberals are always so close to zero tolerance on these issues. So while the Republicans cling to their rapists and their assaulters and their gropers, we toss them overboard left and right. And then we think that gives us the upper hand, which it may do. This effort to have this lead to Donald Trump is, I think, interesting to say the least. And if women manage to pull that off, that's fantastic. I don't know. She goes into all kinds of things that are fascinating. And another, why is this happening now? And she actually thinks it might be because Donald Trump is the president of the United States. And that we are in a state of such stress and terror. And she also brings up the fact that for men, these are really tough times. You might have heard of the article, The End of Men, which was a biggie. It was published in The Atlantic in 2010. And in it, the question was asked, what if the modern post-industrial economy is simply more congenial to women than to men? Because it seems very much that it is. The post-industrial economy is indifferent to men's size and their strength, the attributes that are most valuable today: social intelligence, open communication, the ability to sit still and focus. These are at a minimum, feminine attributes. And they are not predominantly male attributes. And she says, and once you open your eyes to the fact that the future is going to belong to women, you see the evidence all around you. So this could be another lurch in that direction, with women also feeling sorry for men, sorry that they're being emasculated in this new world. I don't know. But I'll tell you what, if you want a provocative, interesting read, Claire Berlinski. So maybe we can put this on my, Facebook page? Can we put this on where do we put it? And have it available. Not that I necessarily agree with everything, but man, as somebody who just doesn't like groupthink, as you know, I found it fascinating. Somehow my voice is nearing its Friday death sentence. It's about tapped out here. So, got one more week with you before I take a week off for the holidays. So let's get together again on Monday. And thank you all again very, very much for being part of this coffee house, safe space, neighborhood, group therapy, misery loves company, conglomeration. Thank you. Oh, man.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.